And now I'm giving the floor to Mr. Umirzak Shukeev, who joined us only recently. Will have an interesting opportunity to hear how far his opinion coincides with what we heard here in this room before. I suppose you organized it on purpose, so I could join you almost towards the end of the meeting without being aware of what was said here. I'm joking, of course. I agree with the previous speaker that the past 2 years have seen integrational processes in the space of the CIS intensify considerably. Everybody is aware that integration is a big priority for our president, Mr. Nazarbayev. Back in 2004, speaking in Moscow State University, he suggested forming a Eurasian Union. This idea has been promoted ever since with more success or sometimes rather less. But this idea is always present, and within the CIS, the Umirzak, Eurasian Economic Community, was formed, and perhaps the customs union is a more advanced and more successful project still. Just a year ago, the customs union seemed only in its first stages of development. More than 60% of all tariffs were not harmonized between our states. But this year has seen us find compromises over more than 7,000 individual customs codes. And we are thankful to our partners represented here by Mr. Kluev and Mr. Yurgens, who've made this happen, who have helped us get the agreement on their individual tariffs that were so important for us. The Eurasian economic space is integrating rapidly. We're doing it along 3 main routes: the Eurasian Economic Union, the Single Economic Space, and the Customs Union. And we are also engaged in the WTO accession negotiations. The Customs Union, I hope, will see its final meeting tomorrow before the ceremonial signing of the main batch of documents that will put it in practice in Astana next month. So we can say that starting from next month, the customs union will be a reality. There will be no customs clearance between Russia and Kazakhstan, just customs control, and that will be only a temporary measure to last for 1 year. The very fact of establishing this customs union will make it possible before the year 2015 for our countries to increase GDP by 15%. That's more than $400 billion for all 3 countries. And we will be on the way to forming a single economic space. Some 20 key agreements have to be developed, discussed, and approved and ratified by our parliaments before the 1st of January 2012 in order to make it happen. The purpose of the single economic space will be the joint and effective development of our economies and improving the lives of our people. The main principles will be the free movement of goods, services, capitals, and labor. The first stage in the formation of the single economic space will be laid down in the 14 agreements that will be adopted within 2 years. The 4 main tasks of the single economic space will be the free movement of goods and capitals, including investments, Secondly, the free movement of services and labor and access to the infrastructure of each of the countries are other priorities. We have a very tight schedule. This was done intentionally, and we hope that we'll be able to make it within the limited time we've given ourselves. The close connections and links between our countries are reflected even in the rapid development of our integrational procedures and processes and documentation. It took the European Union several decades to achieve the same. In the present post-crisis period, after our countries have gone through some very painful anti-crisis measures, we now are happy to observe the investment activity picking up and some welcome signs in the economies. And there are new opportunities for investments in the new free economic space will be a wonderful opportunity to apply those possibilities to the practice of our economies. Thank you, Mr. Shukeev. And now we want to hear the response of our experts to what our panelists had said. But we're short of time, so I ask all the experts to manage to express their opinions between 3 or 4 minutes only. I will be producing this clock when you have just 1 minute to go. Make sure you have your interpreting equipment with you. I'm giving the floor to Mr. Balázs, who is Deputy General Director of the European Commission's General Directorate for Trade. I suppose Mr. Yurgens has used up many of the arguments that Mr. Balázs had planned to produce, but perhaps there is something that has not been mentioned. So we'd like to hear about what CIS looks like as you look from Europe.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Actually, I didn't come here to criticize the CIS, as Mr. Yurgens did, perhaps rather to give and share with you the experiences of the EU as the most developed integration in the world, which has several decades of experience behind it, and which happens to be also the largest economic partner for all of the countries being represented here. We also read with much interest the recent speech of Deputy Prime Minister Shuvalov, what he gave on a few days back on about the occasion of the anniversary of the CIS, and agree with many of the points. I would like just to make 4 points. First of all, we fully agree what he said, that any integration should be based on economic logic, so on economic interests of all members. Of course, the political leadership has an important role to initiate and to push ahead the integration, but it should be following the economic logic of the business, economic logic of the countries. We also can confirm what Mr. Shukeev just said, that while the EU has realized its single economic space in a rather gradual manner over several decades, apparently the customs union is much more efficient as you do it in 2.5 years. So much success to you, and looking forward with interest to the experiences. Second point, the EU believes that market forces are the basis of economic life. Of course, not unlimited market forces, but basically market economy and market signals are the most important, including liberalization, the effect of competition. We are convinced that the so-called fortress Europe, which we heard in the previous decades, was never true. It was always a myth. And the EU remains a full supporter of external liberalization through the Doha round, through the WTO system. What we would like to call the attention of our colleagues in the customs union, that the customs union was established under such conditions that brought about de-liberalization of trade compared to the earlier situation. The Russian anti-crisis measures remained in force under the customs union, have been extended both to Kazakhstan and Belarus, and also there are a number of other measures. So we do hope that with the going of the crisis, there will be a chance to reduce these measures. My third point is that economic integration is compatible with multilateralism. So we think that the customs union can go ahead in parallel with the WTO accession of the members of the customs union, however, under certain conditions. Joining as a customs union on the WTO is practically not possible. Each of the 27 EU members were members of the WTO or the GATT first, and then they joined the EU. So we encourage the members of the customs union, starting with Russia, and we are glad to see that Russia is now again back on the path of early WTO accession, to complete their individual accession procedures, and there are technical ways in parallel also to develop the customs union. And my last point, the perspectives of economic integration between the EU and the CIS countries represented here. To a certain extent, these perspectives are there. The partnership and cooperation agreement, for instance, with Russia, contains the objective of a free trade agreement, and the ongoing negotiations about a successor, the new agreement, also we hope will deal with this perspective, building on WTO membership and on the new agreement. We also have the Eastern Partnership, and here I have to correct Mr. Yurgens. We do not consider that the Eastern Partnership is a competitor to these CIS countries' integration with Russia. We do not believe in the EU in exclusive relationships. Canada is negotiating a free trade agreement with the EU, while Canada has a free trade agreement with the US. And nobody believes that it would be at the expense of either or the other. So we believe in parallel integration procedures. These possibilities are also open for other CIS countries, and we look forward really to create the conditions for a broad zone of integration. Thanks.